Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vishabhai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may He protect us both. May we both enjoy together. May we both exert together. May our studies become brilliant. May we not become disputatious and hate each other. Oh, peace, peace, peace. Since it's Janmashtami tomorrow, we thought, why not make it a little bit different? Though the Bhagavad Gita is given by the Lord Himself, yet, like Mark Antony says in Julius Caesar, let's look at the man behind, the person behind the philosopher. Okay, so we'll just touch a little bit of story about Lord Krishna. If you are Indian or not, it really doesn't matter. Everybody knows the story, right from childhood. At least I presume so, because right from childhood, we have been feeding on stories from Amar Chitra Katha and all these books about Lord Krishna, Rama. So general stories everybody knows. Those who don't know would do well to read about them in children's book or adult's book. It really doesn't matter. And try to find the content and the attitude behind that philosophy. Because it is the small things, how they enact in the world, is what makes a spiritual person what he or she is. It is not about how they do the big things. It is not about how much they meditate, how many hours they can stand neck deep in cold water and pray. It's nothing about that. Spirituality is not about that. Spirituality is about when the society puts any kind of pressure on a person, how does that person react? So the idea is the society will put the pressure. It's natural, it's a society. But in that case, how would Krishna react? What would be his act? So let's get into the psyche behind this great Lord Krishna. So the word Krishna itself means dark. So when it's night time, the Krishna means actually a dark cloud, completely black, which represents what I don't know. And in my personality, what I don't know is that supreme divine power, the self. It's unknown to me. So when we say know Krishna, it indicates that know your own self. What is your original identity? Without understanding the original identity, if a person just meanders in the society with a tag given by the parents and the society of name and form, and the responsibilities and duties for the society offloads on one person, then that person really at the end becomes full of agitation and stress and suffers. So finding out that self, that's what is Krishna. The birth of Krishna is very interesting. Born to the parentage of Devaki and Vasudeva, and Kamsa heard a voice saying that the 8th child of Vasudeva is going to be your nemesis, is going to kill you. So he puts both of them into prison. And somehow he sees to it that the first 7 children are not born, or when they are born, they are just killed. That's Kamsa for you. The 8th child, Krishna, when he was born, something miraculous happened. So in the stories, in the movies, if you see in the older movies, they show that Krishna is born and he is not crying. All newborn babies cry, but Krishna never cried. It's just to show that the poor child is different from all other normal children. So he is smiling, laughing away to glory. All the soldiers, around 400-500 soldiers guarding the prison gates, all of them simultaneously fall asleep. This is what they show in the movies. As a child, you are really enjoying seeing that, wow, everybody's asleep. And those iron shutters, it's locked with those big iron chains. The whole lock system disintegrates. The chain opens, the door opens, and it's a clear pathway for Vasudeva to take. He also gets a voice saying that take this child away to the neighboring village, Gokul. And he does that. The river Yamuna is in spate, and he crosses the river, and the river is rising, rising, rising. It's rising not to give any problems to Vasudeva. It is rising to touch the feet of Krishna. So the story is Krishna puts his one leg down the basket which Vasudeva was carrying, and his toe touches the water, and the water eases. They reach that. So the whole idea of prison gates opening, the bars opening, and all the people sleeping, the soldiers, 400-500 soldiers, it just indicates one thing, which is absolutely true. Don't go on what anybody's saying. You need to experience this. Whenever you're trying to do good, whenever you're trying to do a rightful thing, from somewhere, nature helps. There's a quotation by Swami Ramatirtha, it is the divinity that shapes our ends. It comes together. There will be help from uncharted places, unwarranted people coming to you, just unknown people coming to you for help. And this needs to be experienced. This needs to be experienced. So that divinity helps you in whatever you are doing, as far as you are doing a righteous thing, a good thing. So there is no fear in a spiritual person of, oh my God, what will happen? That what will happen concept only comes when a person is selfish by nature. But when a person is charitably disposed, when a person is focused on what can I do, then all help comes. A beautiful example I can give you, since 15th August just went by, Independence Day. How much money did this father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, have in his wallet? Winston Churchill called him a half-naked fakir. Literally, he didn't have anything. But all that man had to do is take a stick in his hand and start walking. And behind, a few of his followers, those who wanted to free the country from the wrongful doings of the other people, they just unfolded a flag and carried behind, and he was walking. And the story is there were people, ladies, men, everybody standing on the second floor, third floor and whatnot, and they were throwing their jewelry, gold Mangalsutra even, on that flag, because this man just walked. I want to make India free. Not a single paisa. Ram Tirtha says this beautifully. He says, if my money is not in my pocket, then it is in somebody else's pocket. It will come, but the coming will only be then when you are in a righteous path. So this story of the prison gates opening and everything is symbolically represented by a person who's doing a righteous deed, and when he or she is doing righteous deed, initially there is always a testing time. 100% there is a testing time. Because the nature also wants to know whether you are genuine. You go to a jeweler, and when you go to a jeweler and say, sir, I want to sell some gold, I have this gold. He will take the gold and first thing he'll do is rub it on some surface which he knows will prove to him whether it is a real gold or not. Similarly, when I say, I want to do good in the society, I want to follow the way of righteousness, I want to respect mankind, nature also takes us and rubs it across the world and its relationships and sees whether it is khara or bakwas, whether it is bad gold or good gold. If it is bad gold, nature will throw it away. Okay, you follow what you want to do. These are the people who drop everything easy, saying that I can't do this. It's not possible. Because they can't take that friction of the world. But if you are a real gold, and you take that friction and prove to the world that you are gold, oh my God, nature will do everything in its power to help one. When you become spiritual by nature, the only thing you are focused on is how to reduce my own desires. Because at every given point of time, you understand, being introvert, being a spiritual person, that the world doesn't have any strength to agitate you. They don't have the strength to agitate. You can just shrug your shoulder and walk off. What agitates me, what troubles me, is my own unfulfilled desires. What it means, I have certain desire and it needs to be fulfilled. But then certain people come, situation comes like this, where the desire is not fulfilled. When the desire is not fulfilled, my desire gets interrupted, and that breeds anger, frustration. So all these things. So to reduce those desires is what mankind's spiritual journey is all about. It's beautifully depicted by Krishna growing up and loving one item in his life. One item. What is that? Butter. Butter. He loved butter. So what he used to do is he used to climb. First of all, he used to eat the butter, whatever is down. Then because this fellow was very tiny, all the gopikas, including his mother, Yashoda, she put the pot right at the top near the ceiling. There also he called his friends, climbed on top of that, broke the pot and distributed the butter to everyone. So he loved butter. Therefore, everybody is eating butter. Symbolic representation. Everything is symbolic. For children, this is okay. You can have butter, you can have this, it's good. Krishna had it. All these extra experiences are okay, examples are okay. It has a meaning. The meaning is, milk is very fluid. When you boil milk to make curd, that's how people do. I think I am right. If I'm wrong, please correct me. When they make curd, they boil the milk and then they keep it a little bit until the boiling comes down and it becomes lukewarm again. So they switch off the gas, it becomes lukewarm. In that lukewarm milk, they put half a spoon or perhaps even lesser than that of curd, or what we call jamun, a little bit of curd, and leave it overnight. So next morning when you see, it's formed curd. Then you put a ladle inside the curd, you put a rope around the ladle, and you put, oh, nowadays the time is of the mixie, you do the blender and mixie and all. At that time the mixie and all was not there, because whatever was there was example here. And they had to, the housewives or the men, they used to help a little. So they used to pull this rope up and down, and the ladle used to move inside the curd and churn itself. After churning from the curd, the water separates and butter separates. That butter. And then that butter is kept, you can use the butter. But that butter can also get spoiled after a little time. So what they do is they again bring it to a boil. And when they bring it to a boil, that butter becomes clarified butter or ghee. That ghee, home cooked ghee or ghar ka ghee as they say, that never gets spoiled. So the symbolism is milk is like our mind. If it's put down the vessel, it will flow everywhere without any direction, just as our mind. You let it go, it will go everywhere. It will destroy a person if it wants to. It will go helter-skelter. That's the mind, without supervision. Such a mind being put in a pot of this physical body, burn a little bit of fire of knowledge until it comes to a boil. After that, switch off the knowledge, rest. Bring it to lukewarm. Lukewarm means little bit of reflection. Bhagavad Gita, kinchita dita. A little bit of reflection is required, not the whole knowledge. So you don't need to chant the Bhagavad Gita. You don't need to know full by heart everything. Just a little bit of understanding, lukewarm. And in that lukewarm, when the temperature is lukewarm, it's neither too hot, neither too cold. The mind is neither extremely agitated, nor it is reached completely cold, peaceful. It's right there in between. Still a little bit of agitation left. Such a mind is introduced, consolidated a little bit of dahi, little bit of further knowledge. Knowledge of the study of Vedanta only starts, remember this, Vedanta study only starts after the mind has quietened. We are yet practicing the Vedanta studies and all the disciplines to quieten our mind. And the Shastra says once the mind is quietened, once the intellect is available, then the real flights of Vedanta starts. Concentrated knowledge. Keep it overnight. Overnight means for a period of time. And next day you see, it's become curd. It's become so-called semi-solidified. Knowledge is not yet completely solidified. For that, what you do, you put the ladle. You put that stick of the world in the knowledge and experience the rotation of likes and dislikes, righteousness and unrighteousness, attachment and detachment. You are constantly in the churn in the world. Spirituality doesn't mean sit somewhere in one corner and say, I have reached the state of Brahman, I am spiritual. No. Majority of people think that. They think spirituality is escapism. In fact, it is not escapism, it's extreme activity. Take the example of Lord Krishna himself. Never would you find, nowadays people are putting that photograph also. Never would you find Krishna sitting in one place meditating for something. He is constantly on the move, 24/7 productivity, moving on, trying to do something or the other, getting busy. So with that churning of attachment, detachment, nitya anitya viveka vichara, says Adi Shankaracharya. Nitya anitya viveka vichara. Vichara means thinking. Viveka means discriminately. Anitya, what is unreal, and nitya, what is real. Constant thinking consistently of what is unreal, that which doesn't exist or exists for a very less period of time, and what is permanent, the I factor within, the divinity within. So the constant association with the permanence in my personality and the constant throwing away of the ephemeral personality of my body, mind, intellect, gunas and vasanas. When that is thrown, the churning is done complete, butter comes, and that butter is vasanas. And that butter, you give it to Krishna. That means any other vasana in the world, I want to do that. Everything is surrendered to the Almighty. Everything is surrendered. When you have complete surrender to divinity, where is the problem? And that's what Krishna does. He takes all those vasanas to himself and it becomes beautiful. Those vasanas become beautiful and is distributed amongst his friends, his society. The society. So the vasanas are distributed, it's disintegrated, and the personality becomes happy. That's the relevance of the butter. Once you reach the state of clarified ghee, after boiling again, the world does not exist. When the Shastras say the world does not exist, it means it doesn't have any pith or substance. It's a fun ride. Okay, I'll just give this example. Okay, very easy example. Whenever you travel by plane, if anybody has traveled by plane, because this experience doesn't come in the train, as soon as you reach up, you start seeing the clouds. Now everybody knows that the cloud has no pith or substance. It is there, it is not there. It really doesn't make sense. But when that plane is traveling through the cloud, there is a turbulence. There is a turbulence. Many people are afraid of that turbulence. But if you really know that it has no pith and substance, it can't do anything, then you are just happy, you're just enjoying the ride. Similarly, no more turbulence from the world. No more disturbances from the world. Whatever any relationship comes up and says, whatever the situation is, these guys know how to deal with it. Foremost, like Krishna, always cheerful. One of the most famous traits of Lord Krishna, whatever he went through, he was always cheerful. Smiling away. You know that that person has some mischief. He's got that glint in his eye. Something or the other mischief. He is ready for everything. So that's the butter. When you reduce the desire. So one of the examples of another reducing your desire is the Kaliya serpent. In the pond, a ball goes. I'm just cutting this story short. So in the pond, the ball goes and Krishna goes. Everybody says, don't go because there is this big snake. And eventually the Rupa is the snake comes with the whole hood up. And on the hood is Krishna standing cross-legged, playing a flute and dancing. And dancing means he is taking each and every foot and crushing the head of the snake into submission, not killing it. You are not supposed to destroy the desires or destroy the mind. You have to make it subservient. It should be the serving factor for you. You should not serve the desires. So he controls the snake. Ultimately, the snake submits itself. That's the example. All the desires are there. Whenever you are in the world, the desires will be there. Desire to eat, desire to live, desire to talk will be there. But you are not a servant to those desires. You are not subservient to them. You are not a slave to them. You are not a slave to the television. You are not a slave to drinks, alcohol, or cigarette, or anything for that matter. You are not slave to gossip. You are not slave to socializing too much. Or what are you doing? What has that got to do? Find out what you want to do and do it. Live a life. So that's it. And when Krishna grows up, he sees that Kamsa is sending one asuras, one after another to kill. And he is killing also one lady, one asura here and there. Krishna kills. Then he gets bored. He says, what is this? One by one people are coming, asuras, bad people. And these bad people, vicious people, rakshasas, I'm killing one by one. Why not I cut the source only? So he goes to Kamsa's palace, Mathura. When he is going there, he and Balrama, when they're living, probably around 14 years of age, both handsome lads, strong young lads. Opposite them, a lady comes with a hunchback, very ugly looking lady. And the children are looking behind, and children are tugging at their at that lady's sari and saying, "Hey, ugly, hey, ugly, ugly, ugly." And she picks up stones and hits. So Krishna looks at that lady and says, "Hey, beautiful woman." She looks angrily at Krishna and is ready to throw the stone at him because she thinks that he is also teasing. Then she looks at his eyes. He is genuinely saying, "Hey, beautiful woman." So again he says, "Hey, beautiful woman, what are you carrying with you? What's your name?" She said, "My name is Kubja, and my job profile is every day morning after taking bath, the great king Kamsa anoints some perfumes on his personality, his body, and that perfume is homemade. Only I make it. Nobody else can make it. I'm carrying that there." "Oh, you make perfumes?" "Yes, for the king. Nobody else can touch it." Krishna says, "Can I smell it at least?" She says, "Okay, you can smell it a little bit." And she bends down and gives a little bit. And he says, "Can you put a little bit on us?" She says, "No, no, no, it's only for the king." And then she sees the dejected faces of both these children and says, "Okay, a little bit will do." And she puts the perfume on both the lads. Krishna says, "Thank you very much, thank you." And she says, "Okay." And she shuts the perfume bottle and puts it in the basket. As she's about to put it in the basket, Krishna, very thankful gesture he does. He hits her one huge hit on her back. And Kubja, she starts crying. That hit so hard. She starts crying and says, "Oh my God, there is no use doing good in the society. Anytime you do good, the society repays it by hit." And it's no, she's crying, and suddenly she realizes that she's standing straight. Her kubja, her backbone has become straight. The bend is gone. She immediately looks at the divine personality, touches his feet, and turns back and goes away. Kamsa represents ego, and Chanura, his minister, represents egoistic or egocentric desires. When Kamsa and Chanura are there, they need a faithful servant like Kubja to come, which is called crooked faith. Some people have crooked faith. One lecture I went where I told them that, listen, don't smoke. If you smoke, you know what? It creates a riot in your system. So, ho sake to don't smoke, and you start walking, jogging. So one lady in that group, she said that, "Sir, actually there is my uncle who is smoking and drinking. He's 80 years old and he's extremely fit." See, nothing happened to him. He's smoking and drinking and eating everything junk. He's healthy. This is called crooked faith. Faith in the wrong. If you want to attack the ego and the egocentric desires, the selfish desires, the first thing you have to tackle is this crooked faith. With one hit of knowledge, when they are not looking. One hit of knowledge. And when they get up, they suddenly find that they are a changed personality. Now they don't have faith in the wrongdoings. They don't have faith. Such a person doesn't go and become a slave to Kamsa and Chanura, ego. They turn away and go. And after that, once the faith disappears, the crooked faith disappears, it's easy to kill both of them. And that's what Krishna and Balrama did. They killed. Another story of Krishna, because Krishna is very brave, he's very this, he's very that. One of the stories, he's known by one name, and that name is called Ran Chhod. Ran ko chhod ke bhagne wala. Ran matlab field, fighting, Kurukshetra, like a Kurukshetra, fighting field, to run away from war. And there was this character called Jarasan. And Jarasan came to attack Krishna in his kingdom Dwarka. And it is said that Krishna ran away from that fight, ran away literally 27 times. रण छोड़ के भागने वाला. Huh? Balrama was so angry at Krishna. He's saying, you challenge him to a fight. He comes to a fight. You go to the war. You look at that army and say, oh my God, this is too much, and run off. And not once or twice. You have done it 27 times. You know what they call me? They call me a coward. They call me, you are a coward, man. You are running away. You don't have any strength to fight. Look at this. Krishna said, it really doesn't matter what people think about me. This is a big lesson everybody should learn. It really doesn't matter what the world thinks about me. They called coward even Lord Krishna. Then Balarama asked, what is the reason you are running away? He's saying, every time I go to declare war with that fellow, he comes. But then I see in that army of his, not many vicious people are there. Bad people are not there much. So I run away so that he gets more bad people. Because when he comes with a lot of bad people, then I will not waste time. Then I'll fight. And that was the Kurukshetra war. Jarasandha was killed there. So everywhere, run chhod. Socrates, this is the methodology of Socrates. One person was standing on the pulpit and giving a big talk. Fight, man, come on, be courageous. When you are courageous, one death is enough. Even if there are 100 people, you fight, you die, you reach heaven. People will see, you will become famous. Suddenly an old man comes, that is Socrates. And he says, so courage is fighting. Like, yes, courage is fighting. Even if you die, yes. So when you are fighting and you know you are going to die, and yet you fight, it is courage. The person says, yes, of course it is courage. And Socrates says, so when you see the other people, that you are going to die, that is certain, and you can't defeat them. If I decide to come back, revert back into my position, my base position, become stronger again, collect more people, and then fight the bad people, then can that withdrawal be termed courageous? So the man said, yes, then that can also be courageous because it's strategy. It can be courageous. So Socrates says, so courage is not only dying foolhardily. Courage is coming back, knowing when to say something, what to say, and then do it so that it has a greater impact on the society. He says, yes. This was the method of Socrates. He would make other people inquire, make them think. That's what we are trying to do. We are trying to make people think. The only problem is there are so many non-thinkers that hardly anybody's forgotten. Everybody's forgotten how to think properly. They are not questioning. There's not inquiry. Why certain things happening? There is no inquiry. It's just blind leading the blind. So this is the way Jarasandha was defeated. He was called Ranchhod. Next, Krishna's debatable actions in Kurukshetra. It is said that it is because some religion actually follow that, saying that it is because of Krishna that the war happened. Otherwise, Arjuna to chhodne ko tayyar the. He was ready to run away. In the first chapter only, saying, I don't want to fight. Krishna would have said, yes, you don't want to fight, don't fight. Let's go, let's take a chariot. You would have been happy. Krishna didn't say anything. In fact, Krishna told Arjuna to fight. He never told Arjuna anything. He just pointed a finger saying, this is right, that is wrong. When a confused mind does not understand what to do, knowledge will never tell the confused person, this is what you should do. Never. If anybody is saying that this is what you are supposed to do to confuse mind, then that person doesn't have a knowledge. The person who has the knowledge will just show, if you do this, this will happen. If you do that, that will happen. And like Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita thing, yatha ikshasi tatha kuru. Now do what you want to do. After reflecting what has been said about what is right and what is wrong, do what you want to do. I'm there. So this attitude of Krishna, of not our debate. So what is the debatable thing? Krishna lied. He created with Maya the sunset and the sunrise to kill Jayadratha. Otherwise, Arjuna would have killed. Krishna gave the technique of how to kill Bhishma by telling Yudhishthira to ask Bhishma, how should we kill you? He instigated Arjuna to run away from the battlefield when the Chakravyuh was there. He showed Bhima how to kill Jarasandha. He showed Bhima how to hurt Duryodhana. All these technical advices he gave. Answer is, it's debatable. Yes. Why and when? When Bhishma was the commander-in-chief, no more vicious people were there. Only Dronacharya was there. Bhishma did not allow Karna to come into the picture at all. Because nobody knows what Karna is. They know only one facet of Karna. So Bhishma said, Karna will not be there. And the fight was there. Exactly on time the fight starts and on time the fight ends. Everything was perfect. Rules were followed. And even in the Pandava factor, rules were followed. All the rules were broken when Bhishma was eliminated from the battlefield. Drona took over. And when Drona took over, Karna also came. And all the 6 people with that chal kapat of the Chakravyuh, they trapped a 14-year-old boy, Abhimanyu, Arjuna's son. They broke all the rules of warfare and they not killed him, assassinated him. When he didn't have any weapons in his hand, the great Maharathis of Drona, Duryodhana, Dushasana, Karna, Ashwatthama, all these so-called Maharathis, one by one, they assassinated him with the sword, knives, and they killed him on the spot. When the rules are broken about warfare, when human beings fight with human beings, rules are maintained. But when the other human beings become animals, then the rules need to be sacrificed. Remember, Krishna was functioning on this beautiful rule. It is, I am cruel only to be kind. In Hamlet, Hamlet says this when he's talking to his mother. He finds that his mother is going to get married to his uncle 1 month even before his father expired. She's a widow just by 13 days, 14 days, but she's agreed to marry the uncle. And he says, I'm going to talk daggers to her. He goes to her room and gives such bad words no son can give to his mother. She cries, she collapses, she hugs him and touches his feet and says, I am sorry, I was completely confused. I don't know what I was doing. And then the famous dialogue of Hamlet, I am cruel only to be kind. The last step, there's a lot of stories which we can cover, but the last step is where he goes to meet Gandhari to take her blessings. And Gandhari says, you could have stopped the war, but you did not. Therefore, I curse you. Just as my whole Vamsha, my whole dynasty got destroyed before me, your Vamsha will be killed before you. Your whole clan will be. And Krishna didn't say, how dare you do that? Do you know who I am? No. He just bowed and said, whatever needs to be done, let it be done. And moved on. And in fact, his whole clan was destroyed with him. So many people say it was Gandhari's curse. It is not curse. There is nothing called curses. Other person's thought doesn't affect somebody else. It is all karma. They were vicious, they were selfish, all the Yadava forces. Therefore, all the sons died. Everybody, each one of them, before Krishna's eyes. Because when death came to Krishna, it didn't even hit him. Didn't even know. A tiny prick of an arrow at his toe. And he looked at the toe and said, a little bit of bleeding, something touched like a prick, and he chose to die. That's it. So nothing happens. Law of karma is one of the most powerful laws which needs to be explained in great detail. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. When you do bad, you will get bad. When, how, nature, only nature can know, we don't know. But it will come. When you do good, you do get good. You do get good. When and how, nature will do. It can come after 5 years, it can come after 6 months, it can come next minute itself. Which level it will come on the physical level or the mental level or the intellectual level, I don't know, nature decides. Therefore, intelligent people, spiritual people are really wary of this law of karma, and they are very, very careful. It is said a spiritual person, while crossing a stream of water, is very careful not to break the rhythm of it. That way of connecting with the society, being very careful in whatever they are doing, and they move on. Krishna basically represents what we call the intellect, buddhi. So in the Katha Upanishad, there is this example of a chariot with 5 horses, and horses are held by the reins, and the reins is held by the charioteer. And there is Arjuna standing behind on the chariot. This is a beautiful allegory, symbolism, representing that the 5 horses are the 5 sense organs. And the 5 sense organs are held on firmly by one's mind. The reins are the mind, and that mind's reins is controlled by that intellect, buddhi. So the buddhi is supposed to control where the mind is going, and the mind is supposed to control or get in control of the sense organs of perceptions and actions going into the world. If the intellect, the person who is riding the chariot, lets go, is asleep, then the mind becomes loose, the reins become loose, and the senses go haywire, destroying the physical personality, the chariot, as well as the person who is riding this chariot, the Jivatma. Therefore, if the chariot needs to be maintained well, the Jivatma, Arjuna, standing inside the chariot of the body, then the most important aspect in one's personality, one's own intellect, buddhi, most important, is supposed to hold one's mind in full concentration and subsequently gain control of the sense organs of action as well as perception. Then the chariot moves in one particular direction and it reaches towards the benefit of the society. So what is it? So what did you learn from Krishna's life? Number 1, cheerfulness. Summary. 1, cheerfulness, always smiling till the last, smiling, happy. 2nd, always, whenever he walked, whatever he did, he never looked back. He never said this happened and that happened. From prison, he went to Gokul. From Gokul, he went to Mathura. From Mathura, he went to Dwarka. From Dwarka, he just went on and on and on. Wherever the demand was there for Krishna, he went. He never looked back once and said, oh my God, I missed that. Indication, a spiritual person never looks into the looking glass about what happened in the past. Their focus will be, what am I supposed to do now? 2nd. 3rd, his whole life was based on this lovely principle. Life is to give, not to take. He never took a single thing from anybody. His focus was always, what can I contribute? What can I give? Anybody who is a giver, who is a contributor, is always happier. You look at a child when it gives chocolate to you. If you are asking a chocolate out of fun and the child gives, there will always be a smile. And when the child doesn't want to give the chocolate, there will be a frown. 64 muscles to frown. 16 muscles to smile. So how hard it is to smile. And that's Krishna. Give, 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 give away. Eventually, when you give everything, at the end of it, you give up your ego. Nothing to get disturbed after that. Thank you very much. We'll continue next time. Oh.